You're such a good helper. So we want to go from this to the outline to the cutout that needs to be ironed to the blanket. So I have this stack of t-shirts, and I collected these t-shirts throughout the course of my entire undergraduate experience from 2015 to 2019. And I have been wanting for the last 2 years to make a t-shirt blanket. 2 years. And the reason I have put this off for 2 years is because it just seems like such a big undertaking. Like turning this stack of, I'm gonna count it in a second, t-shirts into a blanket. So I've actually recruited my friend Ariana, who has a sewing machine, to help me, and that's what I'm gonna do today. But in order to break this down into more doable tasks, I've written out step by step exactly what I need to do. I really like to-do lists and checking things off, so that's going to be really beneficial to help me get through this. But let me just show you my to-do list. I have this little half sheet of paper. Step number 1 is to count the t-shirts. Depending on the t-shirt number, and some have designs on the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt, so depending on the amount of designs that I have is going to determine if this will be like a blanket with t-shirts on both sides that's reversible, or if it's going to be a blanket where I need to go to a fabric store and buy backing for it. And then the next step, I don't know if I'm gonna do this next or afterwards, because this is the only part I've cut out, and she's kind of wonky, but it was really close to the collar up here, so I had to make it off-center. I have to either iron the shirts or trace the shape. I think it'll be easier to trace the shape if I have ironed the shirts first. And then step 3, trace the shape. Step 4, cut out the shape. Step 5, decide if I need a background fabric. Step 6, decide the pattern. So I'm gonna have to lay out all of the cutout shapes to make sure, like I've got a lot of green and yellow and gray in here. Green and yellow were the school colors, green and gold technically. So just make sure it's not too much of the same next to each other. Make sure it's aesthetically pleasing, and then pin and sew. So really it's 7 steps, and I just have to do 1 step at a time, and that's how I'm going to break it down into what's easy. But I'm going to collect all of this, go to Ariana's house, and make a quilt today. That's my goal, is to make a quilt. So let's do this. What supplies will you need? Good question. Obviously you'll need your t-shirts, which I have next to me, and your checklist. You'll need fabric scissors, an iron, which I've never used this before, so we'll see how this goes. I just have this old towel that I used to use when I dyed my hair to iron on top of so I don't damage anything. How I'm measuring the size that I'm making like the t-shirt squares is by utilizing a record sleeve. So I've got my boy Elvis here with me, and I'm gonna lay it down and then trace it. And then for light colored shirts, I have a black pen, and for dark colored shirts, I have a white pen. You'll also need pins and a sewing machine, and those are not currently in my residence, they're at Ariana's, so I'm going to go over there and get those. Okay, so I did definitely cut the time lapse short because it was taking a lot more time than I anticipated, just to like cut everything out and, well, trace it and cut everything out, but I eventually did get everything cut out. So this is 36 squares. So this will be a 6x6 blanket. I have decided that I need to go get a backing, but today the goal is to iron all of these squares, figure out a pattern, and then probably start sewing them together. And from there, I then have to go get a backing. So the backing might be tomorrow, so this might be a 3-day project. I was hoping it was gonna be a 1-day project, but I'm really proud that I've gotten this far. This was overwhelming, and my white pen didn't end up working, so it was really hard cutting the darker squares, but I'm excited to see where this ends up. I'm actually really excited about it. And the stack of t-shirts is now this, and that's really relieving. So I'm going back to Ariana's. We're going to make lunch, and then we're going to get started.
I never seem to be good enough for him or her or even you. Get better, but I had no one to help me through. At the end, always a congratulations, but nowhere when I needed you. Call you a penny.
We did it! It's so big. Oh, my brain hurts.
I'm done with all these fake friends. I don't have time to pretend that you care about me when you don't. You treat me like I'm less than, so tell all of your new friends how I am the worst. Put on a show. I can't believe I got to write 20 songs about you to make you just have a clue all the shit you put me through. I can't believe I got to write 20 songs about you to make you just have a clue all the shit you put me through. Tell me what you want, tell me what you need. Tired of trying just for you to leave. I was so sad just staring at my phone. Now I'm glad you're gone, I'd rather